might be the most interesting guy in the world.
Girl in the twerk. Yes, I remember.
But Chael, what about when he jumps into the freezing cold water and busts his head?
Yes. Oh.
I mean, it's Merab.
He's crazy.
He's crazy.
Yes. What's happening, guys? I'm Chael. He's Daniel. You're all in luck. This is Good Guy, Bad Guy. Daniel, I got to get right into it. Main event, Merab versus Sean. Merab's doing some extra training. He hurt his toe. Sean's doing some special things, and he quit masturbating. What do you think of this? You think I wanted to talk about that, by the way? Do you think when I showed up here and Kirsten tells me we're going to talk about Sean's lifestyle changes, do you think I want to say the N-word?
I don't think so.
But this is what Sean did, and he made this public. He's still making love to his wife, but he's not doing it with himself. I'm really not.
All I'm saying.
This is true, though, and he goes on SportsCenter and talked about it.
He did not say that on SportsCenter.
Yes, he said it to the world.
I knew the marijuana. I knew the traveling. I knew those things. I didn't know that he was.
I don't know if we needed to know that.
Yeah.
It was a theory with like building up your testosterone. St. Pierre had something like
no,
this.
man.
No, it's a
But GSP also did this. Remember GSP would like twist his nipples?
Yeah, what was that all about?
And Rashad Evans, they all started doing it. Like, come on,
yeah.
guys, come on. This is too much. Okay.
You didn't know this about Sean.
I did not. You know what's crazy?
Marijuana.
You know what's crazy? You kind of tipped me off right before you go, you heard about his thing. And you looked in my face and saw that I had no idea what you're talking about. So then you just kind of turned away from me. I said, oh, he's got something else.
I didn't want to say the M word.
No, you didn't. You didn't want to tell me before you got the camera rolling. Okay, let me see what we make of this. Sean O'Malley has made wholesale changes. We knew that. I didn't know they were as thorough as what you just told me. Everything that you can do to try to change the result, you have to. I was able to sit down with Sean O'Malley yesterday and Merab Dvalishvili. Sean O'Malley told me something, Chael, that I think resonated more than I expected it to. He said, when I went to interview Merab Sunday after he beat Sean O'Malley.
I remember, at his house.
Merab came back running. He was on a run, sprinting down the street. He was sweating. Then before we could do the interview, he sat down and he lifted weights. He wanted to continue to work. I said, Sean, did you see that? He goes, yes. He goes, and part of that is why I've changed so much, because to beat this man, you can't live a normal life. You have to live a life that's so committed to the thing, to this thing, MMA, to give yourself a chance.
Respect.
Merab Dvalishvili is changing the culture of the entire division, because by showing an insight into that the day after, Chael, you know after you win a fight, it don't have to be a title. Yeah. You're going to relax. You may stay in Vegas, go to the pool. You're going to have a good time. And this guy's working out, looking at the next thing. Yep. That is why he's so special. And I think Sean attributes a lot of that to the changes, because you got to be completely clean if you want to beat this dude.
That's incredible that you got O'Malley to speak about that, by the way. And I always like that. When a guy says, hey, there's a mountain here, hey, I got a problem. Hey, I'm not doing anything right. I like that. I like when a guy can step back and rededicate himself. I like when a guy, if you're ever going to do a rematch, you have to be ready to answer a question, which is simply, what's going to be different this time? It sounds like O'Malley has a few things that are going to be different. And a lot of times, those things might not add up to making your punch or your kick better. But there is a discipline, and there is a price that you have to know you paid. When you were in that locker room, right before you make that walk, you will ask yourself, did I do everything I can to win this fight? So if O'Malley is making some of these changes, and they are true sacrifices, Daniel, I think that's good news.
It's massive news. And when I think about my biggest fights, Chael, John and you versus Anderson, I speak for myself. I wasn't willing to let go of all those things. Sure. Did you ever do that? Did you ever make those types of changes, almost take away a lot of your pleasures to ensure that when I step back in there with Anderson, I'm going to be okay to beat him, or even the first time? I didn't.
I will just tell you this. The lifestyle was so hard for me because of the weight class to make 185. Yeah. It did build in a lot of discipline things, but I can tell you back in college, when my eligibility ran out, I had massive regrets that I didn't pay a bigger price.
Yes. So I did not take away a lot of the things that I loved. Of course, I worked harder. And honestly, cutting the weight, honestly, for you and I, it actually extends your life. Sure. You have to live so clean for so long, do so many of the right things to get to those weight classes that you are sacrificing. But to self-sacrifice, to go within yourself and go, Sean O'Malley and weed it's a big part of him and his personality. I think he has a farm.
Sure.
And he shows it. I think Israel Adesanya went to visit it recently. To separate yourself from that and know that I can't get back to it until I win this championship because the guy I'm fighting is such a psychopath. It's unbelievable that he recognized that and he's okay doing it. And he believes it gives him a chance. He doesn't know that it equates to becoming the champ again, but he feels like it gives him a chance. We both know, though, if he can't defend takedowns, he really doesn't have a chance.
It's true. If
you're his coach, are you just all in on the wrestling? Are you still working on the other things around it equally? Or is it 75% wrestling training, 25% everything else? Because I know you're good at that.
All right, so let me answer that. So Tim Welsh, his coach, is my teammate. Back when I was trained, I worked with Tim a lot. So I have some insights to the camps. I had one little bit of a resentment, which is they brought in Demetrius Johnson and didn't call me. I would have brought the cameras in. I would have really liked to have documented that. I mean, I feel like when we talk about the olden day and in Bruce Lee's backyard when Chuck Norris used to come over and spar, Daniel, guys like you and I would do anything to see that footage. So at any rate, they brought in Demetrius, but I bring that to answer your question. No, they have not fully focused on wrestling. They did not make it 75%. They are going overall sport. They felt the first fight they had, they won. And they never really used this as an excuse, and perhaps I didn't even get to you, but they specifically argue the fourth round. They say, go back and watch the fourth round. We won that fight. I was there at Sphere that night. That is not what I saw. I agreed with the decision, but I'm only sharing with you when you think you've already got it, when you think you did enough the first time. You go and make just a couple of changes. You understand the emphasis that's got to be put on staying on your feet or getting off the bottom. You hit that mat, boy, you got to go right now. You're not going to submit Merab. But, it's a game of takedowns. And Merab takes people down. Ask Henry Cejudo. Ask Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, and his pace and pressure is just next level.
It's unbelievable.
You know, another thing Sean said.
How can he do that? Can you train yourself into that?
I don't know.
Can you eat and sleep right?
I don't know.
Or is that's a VO2 max, right?
Yeah, well, it was like Cain Velasquez.
Scientific.
Cain could not train. Come back in the gym and still have the best cardio.
Yeah.
Some guys are just born with
like
that kind of cardio. I think Merab has it. And he understands that it's a weapon, and he just kind of feeds it. And he nurtures it. And eventually, when he gets to the octagon, he is in such great shape that this gift that he has is elevated. Now, Sean also told me yesterday, he said, part of the reason, outside of what I told you earlier, that he made those changes, and one of the biggest changes that he's made, outside of all this other stuff, Chael, is he's kind of let go of the idea that he needs to be this massive star. He said he was hurt last time. Remember, he had the hip label. Can't defend takedowns if you got a hip issue.
Sure.
That's just not the way it works. But he said he was trying to live up to what Mayweather was and Conor was, being the star that broke records and having an opportunity to headline the Sphere, a once-in-a-lifetime event. Biggest gate in history was what made him do it even though he didn't feel great. He said, but by letting go of that idea that he's got to be this shining star and just fight, he can become just a fighter that he always aspired to be. And that's why I think we see the difference in his demeanor. Sean O'Malley seems much more inside of himself, much more calm and patient this week. And it's not because he's not smoking weed. It's because his whole idea of what the sport is has changed a bit, or at least that's what I took from what he was telling me.
And Daniel, if I could share this with you, just to be clear, whatever you have in fighting, you bring to the table. By example, you and I were wrestlers. If a guy's an Olympic champion, his next match isn't for the gold medal. You got to wait another 4 years to get back to the cycle. But in fighting, whatever you've got is on the line. I believe these guys are fighting for the greatest 135-pounder of all time. John Anik, the voice of the Octagon, has come out and already declared that Merab is the greatest of all time. I think O'Malley was on his way, and I agree with John in this matter. I will also tell you, from having a relationship with O'Malley, if he loses this fight, he's going to be a 145-pounder. He's not going to return to this division or any division where he doesn't have a clear path to be champion. That's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. And ultimately, if you will go back to that fight at Sphere, he did not have a fair, marketable chance on who his opponent was going to be. If I can explain, when Sean O'Malley fought Chito Vera in Miami at 299, they put Merab there and said, okay, whoever wins this fight, you or Chito is going to fight Merab. So O'Malley doesn't have a chance to go to the public, see what he wants to do. He's got a specific style and a specific guy. Fine, let's move forward. That he gets this Sphere, which turns into this massive event. They do it to him again, and they put Nurmagomedov in the front row.
It's always what's
Left Davis and Figueiredo outside. We got Nurmag right here, and I'm only saying, if you're in O'Malley spot, you're going, man, I'm fighting two guys. I got a guy out here with a notepad taking me in. I got to deal with this guy. They're both from this side of the world. They're teamed up together against me. Not for nothing, but O'Malley really was up against it. And this is not what happened now. He asked for this fight. This is the fight that he wants for a change.
And feels healthy. He feels healthy coming into this fight. But is the injury being healed enough? Because I got to be honest, man. Merab's cardio is a great thing. But I think it's just his mind, his fighting ability, his demeanor. It's everything that makes him so great. He doesn't have the best striking, but it's effective enough to get him to take you down, or at least make you think he's going to be constantly taking you down. He'll always be into you, pressuring you, pushing you against the octagon. His coach told me that the fight against Umar was a measured pace because he wasn't healthy.
Wow.
Could you imagine him at a high pace? It seemed like he was going as hard as anyone we've seen in a long time. So what does O'Malley have to do? He's healthy. Is him being healthy enough? What does he have to do to get past this dude? Or what does anyone have to do to get past Merab Dvalishvili?
And Daniel, pressure is so important to break down the pressure, only because pressure creates a fatigue. And when you are a fighter like Merab that's got to go nonstop, I would just submit for you that when he came out at Sphere, the only reason Merab was in the main event at Sphere is because he was in the passenger seat with O'Malley. To prove that point, with a victory, he didn't go to a main event. His next fight was a co-main event. However, he's now a star.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in that building that night, and when he was taking down Nurmagomedov, this was a thing of special. I've been to Las Vegas and seen him get swarmed, and I've been completely ignored. I'm the guy that they ask, will you hold the camera and take a picture? Like, Merab is over. Yes. But that does change things. That does change a guy's approach. Now, what you're saying and the discipline and that you witnessed it with your own eyes, maybe it doesn't change for him. But I do think that it puts a little bit pressure on Merab. I think it relieves a little bit from O'Malley. I also have a concern about O'Malley's injury, because at one point he said he was going to take 11 months off, but he ended up not taking those 11 months off, and he came back to this fight. And I never knew, did he shorten the time frame because of the opportunity this fight is, or did he not heal himself? And Daniel, I don't have that answer.
Yeah, well, he got offered this fight, Merab, in April or June. This is what Merab said. He told the UFC, I want to wait. Not April. I don't want April. I want June. I want to wait so that he's healthy. He wants Sean O'Malley at his best. So he got the fight offer in April, chose June because he wanted O'Malley at 100%.
Wow.
That's the mindset of Merab Dvalishvili. Most athletes want to take the hampered former champion, right? Especially the guy that's a star, right?
It's his job. His job as champion is to get the biggest paycheck against the easiest opponent.
Yes.
And we see John Jones playing that out right now, and everybody's mad about it. John's doing his job. There's somebody else has a job to straighten it out, and you kind of. But I'm just sharing with you that it does surprise me with Merab. What does Merab have to gain with this fight? Is it just to stardom? Is it just to close the book? Is it that there's an argument on round 4 at Sphere? I've never been completely clear on what Merab's motivation for this fight is, but I do know O'Malley's.
He said it. Merab said it. And is that concerning? He goes, finding the motivation is hard for this. The first time, it was easy to be motivated. He was a big star. I was going to be the world champion. This time it's hard to find the motivation. Is that concerning if you're Team Merab?
Yeah, it is. It just is. Here's the good news, though. Motivation, again, that comes back to a level of conditioning. Are you going to be disciplined? Can you get the weight off, for one? Can you get the work in? Merab's already within 4 pounds. He's not eating.
He stopped eating on Tuesday, Chael.
It's crazy.
That's the way that he cuts the weight.
It's old school.
It's bad.
It's old school. I mean, he'll be in a sauna tonight. He'll have the plastics. He'll have the hefty sack with the arms punched through it. You know, he goes old school.
Yeah.
But I'll just tell you this: for him to get down to the weight, in as good a shape as he was in, and he did get to go last. I mean, Sean sat out for a while. Merab, got to fight last when he fought Umar. Motivation, I just don't believe will be a problem. I don't believe that he can make weight and not have the physicality needed to go 25 hard minutes. But there is a point in that fight where you're going to have to ask yourself, do I want it? There's 10 seconds left in a round, and you will ask yourself, do I want it? Do I need it? Have I done the math? Do I have enough scored up in good favor with the judges? And, your mind starts to play some of those tricks, and that's where that extra motivation goes a long ways. And I'm just sharing with you, like, O'Malley is a massive underdog, but I think O'Malley is in a better spot this time than he was last time. And the last fight, at a minimum, was close.
It was 3-2. And I thought he won the 5th round. I thought the other rounds were like okay, but I thought O'Malley won the 5th round because he hurt Merab. But what you gotta love is that Merab is active.
Yep.
Right? He fought at the Sphere in September. He fought in January at LA, and now he's fighting again. He could potentially fight 4 times. Should Merab Dvalishvili be the blueprint for these champions? Because we aren't getting champions that fight this frequently.
Yeah, well, and last time we saw it, which is Alex Pereira, and some people are blaming some of the injury. Yeah, they're blaming it on that. And Daniel, it's not necessarily the wear and tear of better opponents of fighting #1 contenders. It is the change in format going 5 rounds. That's a long time. If you do 2 of those, you've now surpassed an average guy on a card that did 3 entire fights. You in 2 fights can do more rounds than an average guy that gets 3 fights a year. And it's just something to look at when you're going with the really top guys. And we're seeing that with Merab. We do see a little bit of a breakdown in his body. He had that gnarly toe a few weeks ago.
Showed it.
But the only reason I bring that up, Daniel, he doesn't use that as excuses. He doesn't seem to care that his toe was disgusting. He's cutting a massive amount of weight right now. I spoke with his team. They're only 4 pounds over, but they're hurting. It's 4 pounds, and they are hurting right now. And they reveal some of that information, but they don't reveal it for the same reason other guys do. They are not looking to feather the nest of a fall. They're not using an excuse. Merab just tells you what's going on, and the people like it. I'm one of those people. I find myself becoming a Merab fan.
He's the best. He really is the best. I interviewed him yesterday, and I spoke to him about that situation I told you was my favorite moment with the girl and the twerking. And he remembered. He knew it. He goes, I remember you tell your friend that I say this. He's the best, man. He might be the most interesting guy in the world.
Girl and the twerking.
Yes,
I remember.
But what about when he jumps into the freezing cold water and busts his head? I mean, it's Merab.
He's crazy.
He's crazy.
Yes.
That's the thing. He's crazy. And right now, all you women, Merab's looking for a wife.
Is he really?
That's what he's doing right now.
I didn't know that.
He said he's only dating because he's looking for a wife. He would love a Georgian woman, but if he needs to deal, Merab's looking for a wife.
No, that's an advertisement.
I said, Merab, can she be from Georgia? He goes, no, please. I want a Georgian woman because if I have to deal with crazy, I'd rather it be a good Georgian.
Yes, I understand. By the way, completely unrelated news. Is Valentina Shevchenko, is she single?
I have no idea. I don't know. Oh, her and Merab would make like a crazy kids.
And she speaks all those languages?
Could you imagine Merab and Valentina? That would be the ultimate power couple.
That'd be
Their kids would come out kicking and wrestling now.
They would.
I don't know if we could actually talk about that. It feels like we're like...
Did we go too far? O'Malley's the one that brought self-love into this whole thing. We didn't do anything.
Really?
Sit over here trying to make a TV show. This guy's talking about, come on.
Yeah. O'Malley's like lighting candles. Okay. Co-main event is Julianna Pena versus Kayla Harrison.
I got scoop.
Okay. Dude, Julianna, you know what she told me yesterday? I do this thing, right? So you have these interviews and you do the interviews. You always say, hey, good next episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy, or you're welcome, like whatever it is. My thing is, thank you for checking in with me for the DC check-in.
All right.
She goes, I had no choice.
Costello put
right
it on the
away.
schedule.
She goes, I didn't have a choice. And then today in the fighter meeting, we go, well, she's pissing you off for some of the stuff she said. She goes, no, you guys do a good enough job of pissing me off.
Wow.
She's angry, bro. She's angry. And the angry Julianna Pena is a dangerous Julianna Pena.
And anything specific that you or I did or just in general? Because she's being counted out. She's a 5-1 underdog. She's a champion of the world. She's a multiple-time champion of the world. She's the gal that beat Amanda Nunes. She's going to be a 5-1 dog. She's the one that fought her absolute worst fight. Her worst performance ever was against Pennington. It was still good enough to win a world championship. Remember when John Jones? John Jones had this terrible fight. Everything was wrong. It was against OSP.
And he won.
Every round. He won all 5 rounds on a bad night. So it's like, hey, wait just a second. When I met Julianna, we're on a bus. The Secret Service had just let us pass. We get on this bus, and Hulk Hogan comes walking on. And she calls him, hey, Terry. Say hello to Chad. I'd never met the Hulkster before. Oh, yeah, that's how I met him. I met him right there. I shook it. And he looked at me and Giuliani and said, well, I feel very safe on this bus. And he took a seat, but it was just one of these cool moments because I was sitting with Giuliani, and this is kind of one of the first times that I actually started visiting with her. I've covered her sport. I talked with Rick a lot. They got a little part right there. I talked to Giuliani a lot, because I'm in Oregon. They're just up in Spokane. My point being this. I start getting filled in on some of the training that she's doing in Chicago and some of the ways that she's looking at this fight. I had an experience with Julianna where she told me she could beat Amanda Nunes. I went to the world, I picked Julianna, and I was the absolute only one. And John Anik comes to me afterwards on the post show and goes, Chael, you're the only one in the world that picked her. Tell us why. But the reason I picked her, Daniel, is the same reason I'm picking her now. She looked me in the eye and she said, I am going to win this fight. I'm going to beat this girl. She said that about Amanda Nunes, and she broke it down just with very limited detail about the takedown, but the most importantly, the side control and how she's going to keep her there. In this case, she just said it's a very similar fight. She said, Kayla will never take me down with that judo. I'm going to beat this girl. And Daniel, I believed her.
She has done everything to give herself a chance. She's got a judo guy in there now, working with her constantly. She's working with Izzy Martinez, our guy from Izzy Style, one of our friends. Kennedy Blades, she's wrestling with. So if Kennedy Blades is not too big to wrestle with, she can definitely wrestle with Kayla Harrison. But it's the disrespect is what I think she's feeling. She's a defending champion and is the largest underdog as a defending champion in the history of the UFC. I don't know that we've ever seen it. I've gone into the octagon as an underdog as the champ. I did it against Rumble twice, and I thought, this is kind of crazy. So you have a chip on your shoulder that can take you into those dark moments where you go, I'm going to go put it on this dude. Because why? Why do they think they should beat me when I'm the one wearing the gold? And Julianna Pena seems to carry that. She also told me that Kayla needs to take some responsibility for her in the way that she is with her, because she said Kayla talks. Kayla saying, I'm the best in the world. I'm the undisputed champion when she has no belt. Julianna goes, why in the world would I not say something when I'm holding the title?
Sure.
This fight has a lot on it, but the fact that Julianna Pena is plus 500 on ESPN Bet, dude, I don't know how that. Look, many have said Kayla's going to be the champ.
Yes.
Right? We've been guilty of it. Oh, she's the this and she's this and she's this. I mean, to beat Julie, to find motivation, must be so simple.
Sure.
Prove everybody wrong.
I agree.
Yeah, prove them all wrong.
I agree. And I do worry a little bit. The weight cut gets made a little too much of in terms of what somebody weighs on Friday. They are fully recovered by Saturday. You have a night's sleep. It's a distant memory. However, in your preparation, the weight cut is very real. Are you going in the room? Are you practicing getting better? Or are you in the room to burn calories to get some of the weight off? And I do have a concern with Kayla in that regard. Never how she's looked. I thought she looked fantastic. I thought what she did with Holly Holm, I mean, if that version of Kayla shows up, just the one that Holly had to deal with, it's going to be a real problem. And the number one thing that version of Kayla was is she was strategic, where she took her down in relation to the fence, when she got side control before she went to the mount. She was very disciplined and very well thought out. And I don't think that Julianna Pena is going to allow you that chance. I think that people are looking at Julianna's last fight, which I agree was her worst performance. But you must concede back to me, it was good enough to be the best fighter in the world. Yeah. And I just think that you are going to see a different version of her. Listen, you brought up Izzy a while ago. Izzy is Midas. Whatever he touches turns to gold. MMA, kids wrestling, women's wrestling, Olympic level, any way you want to do it. He said Kayla will not take her down. And he went further and said Julianna's going to knock her out.
Wow. Wow. Joe, how much harder is this 1 pound going to be for Kayla Harrison? Because she's made 136. She has not made 135. And we have all famously said the hardest weight is those last couple, man.
Yes.
You know that. When you strip it down and you go to that scale with that hope that, oh my God, please say 204 and something. Show me 185 flat or 184 something. Yep. How hard is that last pound going to be?
Well, so her last weigh-in was in Salt Lake. But I'm going to get into the minutia a little bit. But her last weigh-in was in Salt Lake. In Salt Lake, you were granted a pound, but specifically for women, they cannot go under, and then there's some kind of an answer for what they have to wear, clothing-wise. Here, they are allowed to strip all the way down. Now, I only tell you that because I don't think she's actually going to have to lose any more weight or even lose an extra pound. I think she can just take the clothes off, get behind the towel, and make weight. So it's going to be tough, but she's tough. I mean, she's made for tough. Kayla Harrison has a life of discipline, a life of toughness, and she's also fighting for reasons that are larger than some of our ability to understand. She became the mother to children that were family, but they weren't her kids. And she's lived that role, and she is continuing to be fighting for them. Sometimes when there's reasons to fight that are bigger than, it's a real thing. And making weight, I can promise you, is something she will do.
I mean, we're talking about a 2-time Olympic champion.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing in the world to do. I mean,
She won
many tries. She won 2 of them, right? She won the Olympic Games 2 times. So I don't anticipate that discipline, weight management, and all those things are going to be a problem for Kayla Harrison. You know what was fun to me today, talking to Kayla, was the he said, she said. Yeah. You know, it's like, well, Julianna said this to you about you, Kayla. And Kayla, she said this because you said this. And Kayla goes,
oh, you started stirring it too, didn't you?
She goes, I feel like I'm getting drug into high school. Yeah. She goes, this is crazy to me that I'm having to deal with this. But there is a lot of bad blood to it. And it makes the fight a little bit more interesting when you have 2 women that don't like each other. Chael, when we get done here, I am going to watch the press conference. Yep. I want to see what they say to each other because they don't like each other.
Daniel, I don't know if I could tell this very well, but the time that Julianna introduced me to Hulk Hogan, we're all sitting on the bus, Julianna cut some promo, and I think she was cutting it because Hulk, but she cut a promo on Kayla Harrison, and she finished with Jack. She told her, whatever I'm going to do, Jack. And she kept saying, I'm going to knock you out, Jack. She just kept going back to Jack. It was funny. Jack's funny. Jack is underused.
It sounds like a 1970 thing. I'm going to
Absolutely.
Jack.
I'm going to get you, Jack.
Yeah.
It applies to everybody. Anyway, Julianna's been fun about this, man, but make no mistake, she does not like that she's being counted out. That insults her personally. She didn't like when people said that she couldn't beat Amanda Nunes. That insulted her personally. As a wrestler, as a woman wrestler, she said, you're telling me I can't take someone down that's never had a wrestling match? That's not true, Jack. And that's what motivated her the first time. And I'm just saying, I'm not counting Julianna out.
She won that belt as one of the biggest underdogs. And to me, I still think it's the biggest upset in UFC history. Yep. And I always will credit her for that, create that moment where, honestly, bro, from Octagon side, I think my voice went up like 4 octaves. I was Mariah Carey, screaming, watching her become the world champion, doing what nobody thought that she could do. Izzy told me, he goes, this woman is so tough, Daniel. She goes, I cannot, people underestimate how tough Julian, the beating she took from Amanda Nunes in that last fight, no other woman was going through that with the big gash in her forehead and her face was all swollen. But hell, Amanda was the one that got carted out of the octagon. Yeah. For as well as Amanda fought, she got carted out of the octagon. There's a lot on this fight. Obviously the championship, but the Amanda Nunes thing does linger over the fight. I'm imagining she's going to be here. Yep. She is more openly discussing being back in the octagon. I've taken your thing a little bit, though, Chael, and I told this to both of them. I go, you don't get better at something by not doing it. I said, Chael said it. So what Amanda would show up? How much does she play into what happens on Saturday?
I think Amanda matters only because she's inserted herself. I mean, listen, that's not some fight that the world is demanding to see, but if Amanda's going to come back, it's got to be for a very specific reason, which is Kayla. It's not going to be Julianna or the
You don't think she comes back if Julianna wins?
I can't imagine that she does, and that's just listening to her. She's made it sound like she's going to come back regardless.
It does sound that way.
But I just have never accepted that. You know, she left on good reason, which is I have proven my point. But then there got the immersion of Kayla. Kayla was up at 155. She was really nothing to do too much with Amanda. When Kayla passed 45, came to 35, all of a sudden it's back in the conversation. There is some bad blood between those girls. I mean,
all 3 of them.
Yeah, it ended a relationship at a gym. She'd go and she's out on her own, and we can get into the realisticness of Amanda making weight, entering the pool, and doing the fight at another time. But I think as far as her inserting herself, I think that Amanda accidentally is serving as a motivation. Amanda does not want to fight Kayla as much as Kayla wants to fight Amanda. Kayla sawed her down. Kayla stayed in the gym. I mean, she came there to fight her. She thought maybe they could be friendly, could turn into a cornerman, but Kayla's the one that really wants that fight. So I think that if Amanda is looming, she's not just in business for herself. I think that she's serving Kayla, who wants the fight. Julianna doesn't care if she gets a 3rd fight with her. Yeah, she might prefer it to not because of the good money, but I think it's a motivator for Kayla.
Kayla said that the greatest compliment she could have ever given Amanda was moving to Florida to train in the gym and wanting to fight her. Because if you're the best in the world, everybody should be aspiring to fight you. Yep. And she said Amanda left the gym because of it. So
left the gym, Jack.
She said that Amanda took it wrong, Jack. Instead of appreciating her being in there, preparing in the same gym to be there, she thought she wanted to take her belt, Jack.
Have you ever met the Hulk?
I've never met Hulk Hogan.
Never met the Hulk Hogan. No, I haven't. Really? I have that over
There may be an opportunity for me to meet the Hulk Hogan, which you and I will get into a little bit later.
Yes, very good. Hey, when the Secret Service took us on this bus and the Secret Service guy jumps on and he's like dressing everybody down. You won't do this and you won't do this and you won't do this. He was like bad cop. And then he goes, you're the man, Hulkster. And jumps off the bus. Yeah, like he broke character right at the end, and Hogan goes, appreciate it.
That is unbelievable. Guys, UFC 316 is going to be a monster this weekend from the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Buy the pay-per-view on ESPN Plus right now. ESPN.com/PPV for Chael Sonnen. I'm Daniel Cormier. We will see you guys on Monday. Thank you for joining us for Good Guy, Bad Guy. Peace.